Hello everybody, welcome to the Cardboard Cave. We are here to review a board game. It is not a Star Trek board game, but it might as well be, because it is Starship Captains. Starship Captains from CGE Games. It is from Peter B. Hofgaard. It is a 1 to 4 player competitive game. We are all Starship Captains competing to basically be the best. Visiting planets, completing missions, getting new tech for your ship, and queuing up your crew to the ready room to send them out on these missions, to fly the ship around, to repair the ship constantly, to fight pirates who can appear on the board, and to basically do so more efficiently than the other captains. This is for 1 to 4 players. It has a solo mode that is a separate dedicated solo mode with its own rules. It plays 2 to 4 players otherwise. And the general consensus is it pretty much plays equally well from 2 to 4 players and has a pretty solid solo mode as well. I have only played 4 players. It takes 25 minutes per player according to the box. So a 2-player game would only be about 50 minutes, whereas a 4-player game is going to be closer to 2 hours. It says ages 12 and up. Starship Captains, I know they have this at some Barnes & Noble stores. I've seen it there. Otherwise, you can order online. I did not see it on Amazon for some reason. It's a 2022 game, so it's not brand new. But Google it, and you should be able to find a store that's selling it. I believe Miniature Market and Game Nerds both have it in stock. But we're going to give you a relatively brief overview. And sorry, don't get excited about the 3D ships. Those are the one things that I added. Everything else came with the game. It has very nice pieces, but I want to give you a look at the pieces, a look at the art, a brief idea of how the game plays. Not a full rules explanation by any means, just enough that I hope you can decide if it sounds like something you would enjoy. This is what some people call a point salad Euro game, meaning there's a lot of different ways to get points. Although, honestly, I don't feel like that's quite how I would describe this game, because there's really a couple of main ways to get points. And then basically just leftover stuff then gives you points after that. But you're basically flying around the galaxy here, visiting different planets. And the only things really on the board, it looks like a lot, but really, there's missions, which are represented by cards that come off this deck in a pretty cool system, the way they come out. There's 2 star bases, one for the androids and one for the Federation, or no, it's not the Federation, it's another faction over here. They give you bonuses. There's pirates in between, and if there's a pirate in between, they basically damage you. And that's pretty much it as far as what's on the board. All these other numbered spaces don't do anything yet. That's where missions will appear in the future. So, everyone will start here at the home base and move around the board, complete missions, repair their ship, learn new technology to do things more efficiently and better, and target pirates and destroy them. So, this is the main board. Then you have this little sideboard, which is where the technology cards go. And then everybody, and there's 3, I believe they call them diplomacy boards. They call this the cooperative, but make no mistake, it's definitely the Federation. This is not officially Star Trek licensed, but I guess spoiler for my final thoughts, it does Star Trek very well. For a Euro-style game especially. These are basically boards that are just circles. They work the same way. Basically, you just move your marker along them when you get certain diplomacy actions. And you get bonuses as you pass certain things. And the further along the track you end up, the more final points you'll get. Like it's 5 points if you make it to here. You can lap around, flip your coin over. And so like if I finished here, which nobody finished this high, that would be 5 plus 2 is 7. We all had like... I do apologize. My goodness. For a week now, I've had this crud. And it crops up at the worst times. I think like 3 or 4 points is the most anybody had on these boards. But basically, that's what they do. There's some other twists to them. But this is not a full rules explanation. But like everything in this game, it looks like a lot at first because you got the main board, you got this, then you got your own personal board. But every single thing is actually pretty simple and straightforward. Like I said, all these work the same. You're just moving around them, collecting bonuses as you go. But this might be the most fun part of the game. It's your own personal starship, and every player has one. Now, like we just finished a 4-player game last night, so that's why the game's a little bit of a mess. But I wanted to leave it that way to show you what it looks like pretty much at the end of the game. But I have reset my board. This is what you'll start with. So, the way the game works is you actually only have 2 choices on a turn. One of 2 choices, and then there's one thing you can always do. The one thing you can always do, I'll start with that because you have to do it at the start of your turn, is you can pay badges to train your ensigns. You have red ensigns, yellow, and blue. To train them to become commanders. You're the captain. You, the player, are the captain. So you're the captain of your ship. So the highest rank besides you is the commander. So if you train this red, it would cost 3 badges. And it has a wonderful player aid that tells you that. 3 badges. So if I had 3 badges to turn in, I could turn this ensign into a red commander. And I love these little rings. It's hard to do with one hand, but they just fit on there. And now you know. They're basically double powered. They do double the actions. Or they can do a single action and call out someone in the queue to the ready room. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's that. And there's room for 5 rings. You can upgrade up to 5 times. So you're training your ensigns. Or another thing you can do, instead of paying 3 badges to train an ensign to be a commander, for 1 badge, you can just change the color of an ensign. Like if you need more reds, you could turn this yellow into a red. That's not super efficient because you're not really gaining anything. You're just switching their colors. But something you should probably do every chance you get. Train the cadets into any color of ensign you want for 1 badge. Everybody starts with 1 cadet, and as the game goes, you will get a couple more. And you're going to want to train them because the cadets can only do repairs, which are important, but that's all they can do. So, how does a turn work? That's optional. You can use as many badges as you want to, but you have to do it before you do anything else. Then, you make 2 choices. You either activate a room or you complete a mission. Activate a room are these 4 spots on your ship. And the way you do that is you have to have a matching ensign or commander to the color. Now, anybody can match gray. Gray is repairs. But only the other colors can match the correct colors. So if I wanted to move my ship, I would basically tap it on there to say that's what I'm going to do, and then they immediately go here to the queue. This is like the queue of people just somewhere in the ship waiting for orders. This is the ready room of people you have available. So this is movement. Yellow is attack pirates. Blue is pick one of these technology cards and add it to your technology board over here. It makes you basically do things more easily. And gray is repairs, and anybody can repair. That's the only thing the cadets can do, but anybody else can also do it. So, you start with 1 badge. That's what this is. And the only other things you start with, besides 4 ready and 3 in waiting, ensigns and a cadet, you start with 1 badge, which is how you upgrade or train your people. But you also start with damage. The game has some humor to it, but it's not goofy, and I appreciate that. But one of the humorous things is it talks about how your ship always needs repairs, it seems. And you start with, and what I'm going to say right now, one thing this game does really well is it prints on the board a lot of things to help you remember. So you start with 3 damage. That helps you remember. This is your cargo holds. When you shoot pirates down and collect them as bounty, they go here. Artifacts go here. I guess that's actually the 2 main things that go here. And you're going to need room for those things. Also, this is your technology board. This represents, it can be other rooms on your ship. For example, let's see here. This is yellow, so it's just like the yellow. So if I put this here, it is now an alternative to the pirate action. And this is a trash compactor. You can actually throw a pirate you've killed, or captured. You can throw a pirate into the trash compactor to heal twice, to repair 2 damage. And this means move 1 on these diplomacy tracks, any one of your choice. That's what that means. I'm not going to go over all the symbols, But they do a wonderful job. This is the back of the reference sheet. And I think every symbol, if not, then pretty much every symbol is on here. And I think that's wonderful. And honestly, most of them make sense once you've played just a few minutes. And the ones that don't, you can look up really quickly. This tells you what you can do on a turn. It tells you what to do at the end of a round when everybody's passed. It tells you how you upgrade your cadets and ensigns. It tells you what the androids and artifacts do, which I'll get to. Yeah, it's great. And then all the symbols on the back. Because there's really nothing much left to teach about how the game works. It's all the pieces that add a little bit of complexity. Because all you can do is one of these things I just mentioned, or if you have a card over here that matches the color, you can use that instead, just like it were yellow. I would just tap it on the card, do the thing, and then put this one in the queue like that. And that's it. Then it goes to the next person. When you run out of people, in other words, they're all in the queue, you have to pass. Once everybody's out of people and has to pass, the round ends. When the round ends, you basically, well, I'll show this because it's cool. So once the round is ended and you've used all your people, so let's say during the round I managed to upgrade this one to a commander. Let's just say I did that. So now they're basically twice as powerful. And for some dumb reason, I didn't upgrade the, maybe I didn't have enough badges to upgrade the cadet. What you do at the end of every round when everybody's passed is you slide them through the queue like this until there's exactly 3 people left in the queue. So you know what you're going to have. And the order you do things, if you want to think about this game, like if you want to put some thought into it, you can put a fair bit of thought into it. Because the order you do things determines the order they go in the queue. So like, I probably messed up there. I should have seen if I could find a way to get this guy where he would come out, because he's my commander, but he's going to have to wait till next round. Now, he'll definitely come out next round, because you only leave 3 people in the queue. But so that's how that works. All right, but I said you have 2 choices. Optionally, you can train your people. Then you make one or 2 choices. Use a room, which you can't include these, or do a mission. Well, the only way you do a mission is if you're sitting on a mission card. So, like I said, everyone starts here. Oh, I'll explain these, but let me not lose my train of thought here. Everyone starts here at base. If you use one of your red ensigns, take this action. You can move up to 2 times. You don't have to use both. And like I said, there are things in the deck that could upgrade that. So up to 2 times. So let's say, this will be a good example. Let's say I can easily get to this mission because you just follow the path. That's 1. But you only reserve the mission that you stop on, or only collect the thing you stop on if there's something to collect. Let's say I really want this mission instead. They're worth points. But let's say for some reason I really want this one. Maybe because this one is going to give me damage, and I'll explain that. So I'm going to move 2. All right, no problem, except I did go through a pirate. I didn't fight them. The fight action is the yellow action. I just went through them. So they took a pot shot at me, basically. They hit you 1 time every time you go through a pirate. So I have to take 1 damage out of the supply, and the damage only ever goes on your ship. No new damage ever goes on this board. It just starts here. So if you want to put more cards out, basically you have to clear damage. So basically, you can never die in this game. Your ship never goes down, but it can get to the point where you can't hold anything, which is annoying. And damage is minus 1 point per damage at the end of the game. So effectively, if you've not healed any damage, you probably can't win, but you're not out of the game, technically. So this is where I landed. Now, on a future turn, so that was my turn. I used my move action. But let's say my turn is back now, and I'm not going to activate a room. Instead, I'm going to do a mission. That's the 2 choices you have. So I simply pick up the card where I was. And looking at this card, and one of the best things about this game is how thematic the cards tend to be. This is a diplomatic conference. So obviously you can see 2 Federation people there, or cooperative as the game calls them, having a conference with these purple multi-eyed aliens. And so what this card tells me is it's going to be worth 4 points. The only requirement, so it goes right here, and I like this. My table's a little crammed. That's why everything's here together. I have a pretty small table, and this game does take up some room. But we did fit a 4-player game on my 3x5 table, really with no issues. So it is doable. 4-player game on a 3x5 table. I would say it's probably the minimum to be comfortable for this game. But 3x5 is not huge. If you have a round table, I don't know what that equates to exactly, but just giving you an idea. So the only requirement for this is to have 2 people because there's 2 lines here. But if I match the colors, I will get this bonus. So right now, here's what I got. Unfortunately, I can't match the red one, but I have to have 2 people. So I'm just going to put a blue guy there. So this is the ready room. This is the transporter. And yes, it uses these words. Again, this is 100% a Star Trek game, just without the license. So you're on the transporter to beam down to the mission. And it's simple. You just do it right away. I did not match that one. So he goes into the queue. They go in order. Back in the queue. I did match this one. This symbol means I get to move twice on any, because it's white, on any of the 3, purple, black. This is Federation. This is Pirates. This is the Android planet. Let's say I want to move twice on this planet. So I go 1, 2. All right. Once I reach that point, I'll get a 3 badge bonus. If the game ended now, I would collect 4 points. The further you make it, the more points you get, like I said. And they go back in the queue. And this card is now just points at the end of the game. That's it. That's as simple as that is. I'll just put it over here in my area. The main ways you make points at the end of the game are completing missions. The points you get off these tracks, which shouldn't be ignored, that's pretty big as well. And then at the start of the game, there are 3, they call them Omega cards from this deck. You got a bunch of tech cards and then 3 of these green cards. And they do different things, like 1 point per... I've not explained that yet. This is 1 point per mission you've completed that has a red line on it. So, for example, this one would count because it has a red line on it. There's just things like that. None of them are huge, but we learned last night you shouldn't let one person collect all 3 of them. This is 2 points for each different artifact you have. That's pretty powerful. That one that come out last night. This is 1 point for a blue mission you've completed. 1 point per damage. So this basically negates the damage on your ship. It's a crash report. So there's things like that. None of them are massive, but they're enough. We learned this game is a pretty low scoring game. Now this is probably not a great example, but you know, we were in the 30 to 40 range, and I don't think we played optimally by any means, but it's not a super high scoring game. So a few points from these is not negligible. So anyways, I was going through how you get points. Then every commander, so in other words, every person you've upgraded with this ring is a point. Every android is a point, and every pirate you've collected and have not gotten rid of is a point. Then after that, it's just half a point for every leftover badge and artifact, negative a point per damage. So see, I don't think this is really a point salad game. Basically, leftover stuff gives you half a point. Damage is minus a point. These 3 things are all valuable things to have, so it makes sense they would be worth a point if you have them. Then you've got bonus scoring cards, the 3 diplomacy tracks, and missions. So I guess it's a little bit of a point salad, but it's things that make sense, I think, for the theme of the game. So that's how a mission works. You basically reserve the mission by being on it. And then on a future turn, you can do the mission. So it is a little bit of a race. You can't block people in this game. Like let's say I was here. This person could use their movement and land here, but they would have to land beside the planet because I got there first. And unless I move without doing the mission, which probably wouldn't be very smart, this person can't sneak the mission out from under me. Basically, my Starship Captain got there first. It's kind of a friendly rivalry. I can do the mission. So when it comes back around my turn, this one's reserved, and I can sit there as long as I want to. I can take turns, you know, getting some tech or fighting some pirates, as long as I don't repairing the ship, as long as I don't move away. This is mine until I'm ready for it. I can even wait until the next round. Maybe I don't have the people I want for this mission. I can wait till the next round when I get more people back from my queue and then do the mission. So let's say that. Let's say it's the end of a round again. And I've slid these out until there's only 3 left. So now I do have my commander. And let's show you that right quick. All right, let's say it's back to my turn. And I'm going to do a mission instead of activating a room. So now I can show you how the commanders work. So this is a sentient slime. It's basically sucking in everything. You're going to take 2 damage if you do this line, but you don't have to. You can choose not to. But let's go and do this. And let's say I want to. So this is kind of crazy. But let's just say I'm going to do it. So this is a good time to explain the commanders. If you do the action, you can basically do it twice. So if I went this, I could fight pirates twice. How does that work? Let's go and tell you. If I went there with the commander, to fight a pirate, you simply have to have a pirate coming off any of the paths from your planet. So I could fight this pirate. How does it work? Well, unfortunately, they always hit you once, regardless. That's 1 damage you take in the fight. So I have to put that there. Then I get whatever it says. This one had a captive android. So I get one of these cool android pieces. And they immediately go to the ready room. Now, the androids are a little too arrogant to go to your rooms and do stuff. But they are great for missions because they're a wild. All they can really do is go on missions. They do one mission, then they go away. But they can be any color for a mission. But anyways, then the pirate, once I've got the bonus and I've taken my damage, I flip it over and it's now bounty. It's worth a point at the end of the game, or certain cards make use of them, like this one, where I can turn it in to heal twice and do that. So they're worth having. But as you can see, I'm taking a lot of damage and I don't have much room left. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so I see here. Oh, sorry, we were doing the pirate attack. Okay, so since I have a commander, hold off on the mission a second. Since I did the commander pirate attack, I could do it again. And there is another pirate on this path. Another path coming out from my planet. Or I could do the heal action, because anybody can do the heal action. So basically you get 2 actions. But it's the other option is what I'm going to take. So commanders are awesome. They can either do the action twice, or they can do the action once, then call somebody out into the ready room. Call out an ensign. You can't call out another commander. Like, hey, you, blue ensign, whatever your name is, you come on out. So basically, you got yourself a future action this turn. So that is very useful sometimes. Maybe you need a specific color, so you call them out. So you still do one action of the color they match, then you call out somebody. So that's a very fun thing to do. All right, so let's say that was that turn. And then on my next turn, I did the mission. So we'll set that here. And this might be a bad idea, but I'm going to show you as an example. So I don't have a yellow person here, but I can use my android because it matches any color. But as a reminder, even cadets can go on missions. They just never match anything. So maybe I'll put this here because I don't want to take the 2 damage. But let's say, just for argument's sake, I do it. I put him here because he matches any color. Then I have a blue, okay? So you go top to bottom. I have to take 2 damage, and this isn't good because I don't have room. So this pirate is actually going to be lost to put that damage there. And if I get more damage, it's just going to stack, and you have to get rid of what's on top of the stack first. But by taking those 2 damage, I get to move up 4 on any track. So let's say I move up 4 on this pirate track. So 1, I collect a badge, which is how you train people. Put that there. 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to land right there. And there's one other thing that goes on these boards, but I'm not going to explain it. It's a minor thing. That's what I got. Now for blue, I would normally get to collect an artifact. So it's face down. And here, I'll explain how these work really quick. Artifacts basically give you a free turn to do a room action. You have to have 2, though, and you have to have a matching color. So in this case, if I had both these on my ship, which right now I don't even have room, so I couldn't even take these. 2 yellow could do a yellow action. 2 blue could do a blue action. Well, I'll keep drawing. So if I drew this one, I could do 2 blue. But if I want to do the red action, I'm going to have to get another red artifact. So basically, you just turn 2 in, they go away. So they take that precious room on your ship, but then you turn them in and they go away. And it takes 2 to do 1 action. That doesn't seem like much, but I can tell you, this is a game where you don't get a ton of actions. It's only 4 rounds. So actually, it's pretty useful to get those bonus actions. So anyways, this mission's done. I did both the things. I took my damage. I could have chose to use any color there. I didn't have to do that. And in reality, I would have healed more damage by now. But this will be worth 6 points at the end of the game. So here we go. Turn that over. The android, though, doesn't go my queue. He goes away. He's like, all right, I helped you out. I paid my debt. See you later. This guy will go in the queue for next time. All right, so I think I've explained missions. I've shown you 2 of them. They're really quite simple. I told you how to upgrade. It takes 3 to upgrade any colored ensign to a commander with the ring, who are double powerful. Or it takes just 1 to turn a cadet. So let's go and do that. I could turn in 1. And this is a bonus action at the start of your turn. It doesn't take your whole turn. To get rid of that and then pick any color I want. And this is a good time to point out, they really went above and beyond with the sculpts for these. They are different shapes, colors, sizes, races. Like here's an alien of some sort. These are the androids, which I think are really cool. They're all different molds, but like all the yellow ones are the same. They didn't have to do that. It's just purely for variety's sake. And I just think that's really kind of above and beyond, and I appreciate that. And they really do look pretty good. I apologize about the camera work. I've complained about it before, but ever since I got this brand new iPhone, I've used the old one for ages. I struggle with this new iPhone. I really do. I'll try to Google. I'm sure there's other people that struggle with it. Just the zooming, the focusing, everything is worse than my old ancient phone. I don't know what the deal is. But anyways, so there's lots of different ones in lots of different poses. But like all the yellows are the same, all the blues are the same, etc. So the only thing I haven't explained is repairing the ship. When you do that action, any color can do that, and you simply take off a damage. You can take it off from your ship or from this place over here. And we're going to take it off from over here because I want to show you how this works next. So that's super easy. That's the repair action. I've shown you fighting pirates. I've shown you moving. This is the tech. The way this works, let's say I actually have a person left. That one won't work there. Let's say I have a blue person left. So you tap there, boom. It's real simple. You simply pick one of these cards. There's no cost involved except just using your person. So, I don't know. Let's just pick one. This is the Hypercharger. So each movement can be a jump. Oh, sorry. Each movement or jump can be a repair instead. So anytime I do this action, which would give me 2 movement, that could be 2 repairs instead. So that's very powerful. And some of these are very powerful. And now I want to show you, what are these? These are not complicated symbols you have to learn. They're called bonus connections. And the way it works is simply this. I can put this on any empty space on my tech track. And if I match up 2 symbols, like this right here, see how these match up? You get 1 of those for free. So that's a free movement. So right now, immediately, I can move my ship 1 movement. Okay? If I had matched up, let's say I put this card here, for example. I'm matching up that symbol. That's a badge. So I would take a free badge from the supply. These are one-time bonuses that should not be ignored because this is a game, again, where you don't get a lot. So every edge you can get, every bonus you can get is valuable. And sometimes you can get cards that are just really good and give you lots of good things. I'm not sure if there's going to be any great examples out here right now. Let's see. If I put this one here, I would get a free repair. But I didn't match anything over here. But like to say I matched something there and over here and over here, I would get all of it. So that's how that works. That's the bonus. But otherwise, all you do on the tech action is you pick the card you like and you put it out there. And I'm already going on long, longer than I meant to. So I just want to say these cards are very cool. I don't think they're all created equally, and I think that's part of the fun, is when a really good card comes out, sometimes you're like, oh, I really want to go claim this mission, but instead I'm going to take the blue action and claim one of these. This is a navigator suit. Promoting to the red commanders cost 1 less badge. Let's just grab some more here. So this is another one that's a room. There's some that are rooms. There's some that are just always ongoing abilities. And occasionally you'll get one that's a one-time use, then you discard it. So let's just look at these, then we'll move on. This is a yellow room, so it can only be used by the yellow ensigns or commanders. This is a jump drive, so this is super cool. Let's say I put this here. If I slotted this in here, oh, and here's a good example. I'm going to get a free repair and a free badge by placing that there as a one-time thing. And now I have a jump drive. So whenever, I'll show you how powerful a move can be. So like, let's say I have my yellow commander left. Now, normally yellow is fight pirates. But let's say instead of doing that, I go over here. Boom. This is a jump drive. You can jump to anywhere on the board. Anywhere you want. That's what that is. Ignoring pirates. You just warp there. I guess it's almost more like the... definitely not my favorite Star Trek, but it's almost like the Spore Drive, I guess, in Discovery, where they just appear wherever they want to, basically. That's what that is. Then, because I used a commander, I can do it again if I wanted to, or I could do any other action he's able to do. So for my second action, I could fight the pirate, or I could do a repair, or I could call somebody out. So let's say I do that. I did my jump. He goes to the queue, and because he's a commander, for my second action, I'm going to call somebody out. Maybe I'll call out this person. So you see, you can actually extend your turns with the commanders. But anyways, that's the tech. You simply take the card, put it on the board. It makes your game better. It gives you more to do. The stealth paint. This one is amazing. It seems amazing to me. You ignore your first damage on each mission. So, for example, I could have ignored one of those on that mission. Also, you ignore pirates when you move. That just sounds awesome because you're always taking 1 damage when you go through pirates. So that's a very cool one to have. A wormhole generator. Any of those symbols, so in other words, if I matched up these symbols, anytime I do that and get that bonus, you can jump. This is a blue space. Time Turner. You discard this to basically move somebody into the ready room. So basically collecting this card, hopefully you can get some bonuses by matching up. And then it's a one-time card that lets you move somebody to the ready room. Like this seems weaker to me, but I'm sure situational, it could be good. But there's a lot that are like, that's interesting. I know there's a good way to use that. I'm just not sure what it is. And there's just a lot of really cool ones. You can discard pirates to discard this card, or discard this card to ignore damage. So as long as you have pirates on your ship, you can avoid damage. I guess you're throwing them in the way of the missiles. Tin Can Observer. There's a funny joke in the rulebook. Don't call them tin cans. That's actually the androids. They're tin cans. Don't call them tin cans. After you completing the blue mission, you can move up 1 on the tin can track, which is the gold one. So things like that. That's that. The game ends after 4 rounds, and I've not explained every rule, but despite my jumbled mess of an explanation, it actually flows incredibly smoothly once you're going. You're basically doing one of these things, or a better one on your board if you have it, or you're completing a mission of a card you're sitting on currently. The game ends when everybody's used all their people 4 times. So you ran out of people in your ready room. That ends your round. When everybody's out, that ends the whole round. You do that 4 times, and there's a round counter track up here. That ends the game. And at the end of the game, you score completed missions. You'll just look and add up the numbers. So like 4 plus 6. You'll look where you are on all these tracks, and you'll get that many points. So I would get 4 points on that track, for example. You will look at the green cards if you collected any. Like that one gives you a point per pirate if you collected any of those. You'll get a point per commander. So in this case, I would get 1 point because I have 1 commander. A point per android you've not used. I don't have any still on my ship. A point per pirate still on your ship. Then every leftover badge and artifact is half a point. So like in this case, I would get a point because I have 2 badges. And then damage is minus a point. So in this case, I would do horrifically bad because all these would be minus. Those would be minus. And that's it. That is it. I want to quickly show you a little bit more of the art. And then I'm going to go to my final thoughts and we'll wrap this up. So let's just look at some of the missions because I think these are pretty thematic. Scrapyard. So basically you're digging in the scrapyard and you find some things to repair your ship. That's the theme there. So you can repair twice if you put a red ensign there. If you discard a pirate, you can repair once and go up 2 on the pirate track. So in this case, I guess you're not killing the pirate, you're setting him free. And the pirates are helping you out a little bit because that improves your diplomacy on the pirate track. Repair the repair station. There's some... See, that's what I mean about light comedy. You see that guy caught there. It's not in your face, but it is funny at times. This one lets you move up on the Federation track, or they call it the cooperative, because you're repairing a cooperative track, I guess, or repair station. Then you get 3 repairs to your ship. A shady deal. Basically, this is dishonorable. You have to get rid of a badge of honor. The badges that help you train people, you have to get rid of one, but you can move up 3 on any track you want to. It's an underhanded deal. And there you can get 2 artifacts, which are what gives you bonus room activations. A prototype shuttlecraft. So this is a pirate ship they are repainting and rewelding to use for themselves. So you have to discard a pirate. Again, this is not a grim game. It's colorful. It's family friendly. But if you want to read into it, it's got some pretty funny dark humor. Because you're kind of off in the pirate, let's be honest. Which lets you move up 3 on the Federation track. And then you can move. A pet for the Admiral. This one's funny. You're just getting a pet for the Admiral. But you take a damage because these are violent pets. But you're getting 2 badges out of it if you match both lines. A distress call. Oh, you see, this is an android in distress, or a Tinkin. And you get an android out of it because you saved them. And you can move up 2 on the gold Tinkin track. Urgent repair. Looks like you're repairing a science device. It lets you move up 1 on the Federation track and heal 1. Plasma Beard's Treasure. There's a pirate theme to that one. It gives you a ton of artifacts, but it makes new pirates come out. That's what that means. New pirates are going to come out at your location. Then you can either attack a pirate, or you can discard an artifact to move up. Basically, so see, here's what I mean. On this one little card, the symbols are all you need. You don't need to read into it. But every single card I look at, if I just think about it for a second, is quite thematic. Obviously, you found some kind of space age alien Blackbeard's treasure. And so you get 3 artifacts, which are this game's version of treasure. But when you do that, the pirates will appear around you. They'll actually appear on a planet or on a space around you. Then, if you match this one, you can attack said pirate, or you can give them one of the artifacts, and as a reward, you'll move up 3 on the pirate diplomacy track. Very thematic. So anyways, that's that. I think it all looks nice. Like I said, it's a bit of a mess right now. I'll show you the components, some of the components up close, including what I promised, which is why I'm using these Star Trek ships, in just a moment. All right, thanks for sticking with that. Man, you're a trooper if you stuck through all that. Starship Captains. We're going to review the components. I'm going to show you the ships that actually came with the game because that's the one thing I didn't show. Going to do a quick review of the game and tell you my recommendation. So, the components, phenomenal. For a regular priced, hobby board game, really great components. A lot of plastic that just makes sense. The cardboard is good quality. Like all the tokens are exactly what you would hope they would be. The smallest token, there is a lot of little pieces, which means setup. But like these are the smallest things in the game. These are as small as it gets. Little pirate ships. And then these, which are just markers. I mean, these are kind of lame, but they're just markers for the diplomacy board. They didn't need to be anything nicer. They work. They're fine. But everything else, great. These might be the star of the show. These double layered boards. There's one for each player color. That's totally unnecessary. You don't even see that in the game. But the reason these are so great is because they're dual layered. So you got room for your cargo. You got room for the Q, which is crucial to the game. Your upgrade rings that stick in here. And there's no warping. It's flat as can be because it comes as one board. And then it comes with a little tape, little tape circles. You smush them together. Voila, works great. These are fantastic. Just wonderful. They work great. They're fun. And it's your little personal ship that represents, you know, what you're moving around on. Like I said, all the cardboard pieces are good. And I've already shown you a lot of the artwork. I think the board looks nice. But I think the star of the artwork are these mission cards. They're just great. And there's so much theme if you care to get it. I mean, I guess it's more Star Trek Lower Decks than like Next Generation. But there's just so much theme you can glean out of the cards themselves. Anyways, and then all the plastic pieces. I love the androids. I think there's a dozen of these in the game. And I just think they're great. I love that they're too arrogant to do your regular activities on your ship. They'll only do missions. That's a funny explanation for that. Then, you know, you got lots of characters of all the colors. I think it's like 50, around 50, or maybe it's like 48 of these colored ensigns it comes with. Plus about a dozen of the cadets. And these are a nice hard plastic. Like they're not going to bend. They're not going to warp. They're nice hard plastic. I love that, you know, you got some alien races thrown in there. That they're not all just human. Which totally makes sense for the Federation, which is what this is really supposed to be. I love those. You got... It's 54 of the plastic colored figures, 12 of the cadets. So that's 66 plus 8 androids makes 74. So there's 74 plastic figures altogether. You know, plus the little plastic rings. There's lots of pieces in the game. And everything is great quality. So why am I using these? Well, if you watched my video about the Micro Machine Star Trek pack that I got, you'll know that's what these are. These are Micro Machines from the 90s. I said I was thinking about using them for this game, and that's exactly what I've done. And they're certainly bigger than the ships that came with the game, but they work pretty well. Why did I do that? Because I love Star Trek. I love Micro Machines. It was an excuse to find these and use them. And since I'm using them for a game, it kind of makes me feel less guilty about buying them, I guess. I don't know. But what did the game come with? It come with these little cardboard ships that you have to assemble yourself. It's super easy to do. And to my surprise, they seem to be very sturdy once they're done. It's just this part you fold in like a sandwich. And then these two parts you kind of put in the back there. And it's actually quite tight. I don't think it's going to fall apart. And certainly you could put a little dollop of glue in there if you were worried it would. So there's really nothing wrong with these. I just have a thing about like 3D built cardboard that it just feels... I love board games. The board is cardboard. The cards are cardstock. These are cardboard, and these are amazing. But there's something about 3D pieces you move around being built out of cardboard that is... I guess I've always been a snob about that. It's always gotten under my skin a little bit. There's nothing wrong with these, but I don't understand. I don't understand the decision when there are so many nice plastic pieces included in this game. 60 something. 70-something, I think it was. Why they could do 4 or more, just 1 per player. Now, I guess arguably you can have more detail in this, whereas if they did a ship, it probably just would have been like 1, an orange one, a green one, whatever. But I would have preferred that, just basic plastic ships. That being said, there's nothing wrong with these. If you got Star Trek Micro Machines, good on you, they work well. If not, literally any small plastic spaceship would be great. And you only need 4. It's only a 4-player game. You only ever have 1 ship. This represents your ship. This is just like the small version of it. This is obviously the orange players, but you only need 1 ship to move around. So if, like me, you're weird and these kinds of things bug you, 4 of any kind of small toy ship would totally work. 1 per player. But other than these, which actually are perfectly fine, I hate to even sound like I'm complaining about them. They're perfectly fine. I have no complaints at all about the components. They're fantastic. And if you never plan to buy any little plastic ships, don't worry about it. These are more than fine. And the truth be told, this is way less important than this. This is where you're really spending your time. The moving around is just one action on this. So anyways, components are great. The rule book surprised me with the size at first, because I thought this was supposed to be on the light end of like a Euro game. But it's just a great rule book. It is very, very clear. It could have been condensed. It could have been smaller, but it's an easy read. I was able to just read it like a book. I didn't have to be like, wait, what's this saying? You pretty much just read straight through it. It just makes sense. So it's bigger than it needs to be because it just wants to be very clear. Nothing is condensed. There's lots of examples. Plus, there's rules in here for the solo mode. There's rules in here for... there's a rule summary. It's not on the very back, but there's a rule summary. This is the whole game right here, really. It's a pretty comprehensive summary. Once you've read the rules once, I love this. Because once you've read the rules once, let's say you wait 6 months to play the game again. If, like me, you'd have to read the rule book again, probably. But you probably will be able to just use this, which is going to take a lot less time. And then there's notes on certain cards. We had questions about some cards, but I found out that, for the most part, we didn't even have to look at this. It was just reconfirming, okay, what is that? Sorry. What does that symbol mean? And that was usually enough to be like, okay, it's just saying that. Pretty much take the cards at face value is what I learned. They pretty much mean exactly what they say. And then on the back of the rule book are all the symbols. But even better, I think, than the rule book is this. You get 4 of these, 1 per player. I don't think I would ask anybody to read this before I've explained the game. But once you've explained the game and you're up and running, people have one of these in front of them and they can reference it any time. And I found there was not a lot of rules questions during this game. There really wasn't. Basically, all the symbols are right here. And most of them, once you've learned it, you're not ever going to need to look at this again. Some of them you might need a reminder. Really, the only thing we ever missed in this game, it's really smooth. The only thing we ever missed was once the 6th mission, I didn't explain this. Once the 6th mission has been completed, it's basically a countdown. So wherever the 6th triangle is where the next mission is going to come out. Then 5, then 4. So you can actually fly to a planet that has the 6 on it, knowing that whenever anybody completes a mission, that's where the next mission is going to appear. The 1 is the last one to get flipped over. Once it gets flipped over, there's a symbol to remind you. Pirates come out. Pirates uprise. They're tired of it. They're tired of you flying in their galaxy, completing all these missions. They're going to uprise. And basically what you do is, everywhere there's one of these triangles, you flip it back over to the orange side, so you'll be ready for new missions. And you pull a pirate. And if there's an open space, so there's trails on the board, green, pink, yellow. If the trails, the exhaust trails from the pirate match an open space without a pirate already on it, coming off of that planet, a pirate appears there. You can read that in the rule book. But that's one thing that's easy to forget. You got to repopulate the pirates on each triangle once the 1 is flipped over. In other words, that means 6 missions have been completed. Time to flip all these back over. The other thing is just what I was saying. When you complete a mission, you take the highest triangle on the board, so it would start out being the 6. You flip it over and put it where you are. And then wherever you remove the triangle from is now an empty spot on the board. So you draw a new mission from the deck, and you put it there. In other words, there should always be the same number of missions available at all times. There should never be an empty spot that doesn't have anything on it. It's either going to have a triangle because it's waiting for a mission, or it's going to have a mission. You can read that in the rule book. It's okay if that didn't totally make sense. But those two things, repopulating pirates once the 1 is flipped over, and just repopulating the missions as you complete them. Those are the 2 easiest things to forget. Otherwise, you're just taking turns doing one of the actions in your rooms or doing a mission that you already reserved. So you're basically moving around the board, parking yourself on missions, doing the missions, collecting cards that help you do better, repairing your ship because those are negative points, fighting pirates because fighting pirates is one of the main ways you get things. Like, it's one of the main ways you get badges. Like, there's a badge and an artifact. Androids for your ship. Really, those are the 2 main things. You're getting a lot of those things from pirates. And if you find you never have badges, like, oh, man, I never have badges to upgrade my people, well, go fight some pirates, get some honor. That's how you get those badges. Again, I think it's pretty thematic. There are other ways to get badges. The diplomacy boards, you're getting honor from that. That and fighting pirates is the main way to get badges. So there's a way to get everything. But basically, at the end of the day, you're focusing on completing those missions and getting as many bonuses as possible while you're at it. Because you've only got a limited number of turns. So the more bonuses you get, the more of an edge you're getting over your opponents. But yeah, the reference sheet is great. The rulebook is great. One nice touch. That is a bit silly, but it's actually really fun. For what it's basically, I would say it's a Euro-style game that's on the light end of medium weight. It's not light. It's actually pretty puzzly. It's pretty puzzly, but it's also thematic, and there's also luck. You should know that. There's luck. But one thing it does is just purely for fun, is after you finish the game, everybody can look at their number and see what they got. We were laughing because one of us playing last night scored 28 points. And I'm not going to spoil it, but basically a future version, or I'm not going to read it verbatim, I should say. A future version of himself came and blew his ship up. He's like, well, I'm sure we had or will have a good reason. But it's like, man, that's kind of harsh, for 28 points. One of us got a vacation. It's things like that. It's goofy. But that's just a one-time thing. You don't even have to read it if you don't want to. But I think it's fun. At least for the first couple games, But otherwise, it's just a good medium to light medium weight strategy game that does have some luck because some of these cards, the text that come out are better than others. And if they come out when you can't get them and somebody else gets them, there's not much you can do about that. Some of the missions, a mission repopulating right in front of you, that's perfect. That's lucky. But there's also a fair bit of thinking, a fair bit of puzzliness. It's kind of just about being efficient, getting the things done and being efficient about it. I really enjoyed this game. I really, really enjoyed it. For the number of pieces and bits, it's a little fiddly setting it up because there's just so many pieces. Remembering to repopulate after each mission's completed is a little fiddly. I think maybe it could have done away with a couple of components and still been just as good of a game. That's my opinion. I really think that's something a lot of games could do with. But I feel like everything in here added to the fun and added to the theme. So I'm not bothered by it. And once you're up and going, I'm talking about on your second turn. By your second turn, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm getting this, yeah. Like, it's not a game that's where the first game's just miserable and you don't get it at all. Unless you got a really bad teacher or something, maybe. I would say by the second and third turn, you're moving and grooving. And that's awesome. As a strategy game, I do apologize. I'll be honest with you. I've restarted this part 3 times because of that. I just can't do it anymore. As a strategy Euro game, as long as you're okay with some luck in your Euro games and a different kind of theme than you're used to from this kind of game, I think just about anybody can enjoy this. I would give it probably, so far at this point, I would give it an 8.5 just purely as a strategy Euro game. I'm giving an extra 0.5 bump, and my review could go up or down after time. But as of right now, from that experience, I would give it a 9 because I am a big Star Trek fan. And here's the part that surprised me. I was a little surprised by just how fun the game was. It was actually better than what I was thinking it was going to be. Because I'll be honest, I partly bought it because it is so Star Trek inspired, obviously. I mean, look at this. Even that, look at that. I mean, that is totally Star Trek. I partly bought it because of Star Trek inspired, to say the least. But the game itself is better than I thought it would be. It's just fun. It's smooth. It's just entertaining the whole time. But what surprised me was that it does Star Trek better than most games I've ever played. And I've played some dedicated Star Trek games. It just feels like you're the captain of the ship. And even though it's like a Euro type game where you're just going around getting points, it just makes sense. Like flying around to different missions in a light sense. Like it doesn't go deep into the philosophies of Star Trek, obviously, but in a light sense, going around doing diplomacy. You're not just fighting all the time. The fights are simple and quick when there is one. With the pirates, you're mostly going around doing different missions, trying to talk your way out of situations, doing oddball things like picking up alien pets, upgrading your ship. The fact that each color of ensign is good at different things. The fact that cadets are almost worthless until they are trained into an ensign. The fact that missions themselves, if you care to look at the art and what the mission itself says it is, totally makes sense almost every time. The fact that there's androids out there that have their own planet that kind of know they're better than humans in every way. They're smarter, they're stronger, but they're also willing to be cooperative and help you out with missions. And then the pirates are sort of like the Klingons. They're kind of out there doing their own thing. And they'll be friendly at times. You can have alliances with them, and you can get things out of them. But they're still going to attack you every now and then because they're pirates. I think the theme is fantastic if you're a sci-fi and especially a Star Trek fan. But I think it totally works, even if you never heard of Star Trek somehow. I think it totally works. Because it doesn't dive so... It doesn't have these little cute... Clank in Space is a game I've talked about, I believe, on here. I reviewed it, right? I think I reviewed it. I don't even remember. It does a lot of cute in-jokes that I loved as a sci-fi fan. But it could get old to somebody, I think, that is like, I know there's an in-joke here, but I don't get it. This game doesn't do that. It just has really good artwork. And things that are just funny if you look at what the card's showing you. Like, it just makes sense. But it feels extra fun and warm, I guess, if you're a Star Trek fan. Because you know a lot of these things were pulled from Star Trek. But I believe it works regardless. Regardless. I'm giving it that 0.5 boost because I do love Star Trek. So I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. But I think this is, if anything I said sounds interesting, I think this is a game for anybody. And I think it's being overlooked. It came out in 2022. I mean, the fact that I found it in Barnes & Noble is pretty cool. Not every game gets that kind of shelf presence. But don't overlook it. If anything I said sounds fun. I mean, it's approaching a medium weight strategy game. So it's not like super lightweight. It's going to take you a minute to learn the rules. But once you do, it's real smooth. And I do think like a 10-year-old kid. It says 12 and up. I think a 10-year-old kid who's played some board games could absolutely play this. And if they're a sci-fi fan, they're going to love it, especially. So yeah, there's my recommendation. Cardboard Cave approved 100%. Thanks for checking out the Cardboard Cave. Thanks for sticking with this rough video. I'm trying to get over this nagging cough. And I hope you all have a good week. Catch you later.